Founders Park Media and Samurai 7 Books presents Cosmic Champions. Written by Mark Caldwell Jones. Read for you by Play AI. Cosmic Champions. Part 2, Starway Station. Chapter 7. Alex lost all sense of time and space. It was as if he was tumbling, flying, and floating in a bubble of purple slime and slush. There was no pain or fear. He felt completely at ease. One might even say ecstatic. Was that the word for feeling so warm, fuzzy, and thrilled at the same time? Chalaka-bak-faloom. He had arrived. But where? Alex walked out of the darkness onto a stage and then into a single spotlight. A few feet away, a beam of intense rainbow colors shone down on a beautiful alien girl. He recognized her immediately. He had 3 posters of her tacked on the ceiling above his bed. She was his favorite champion in the game. A fictional warrior whose extraordinary skill was matched only by her exquisite beauty. She was Alex's white-hot nuclear meltdown crush. A fiction, yes, but a true teenage boy motivator. Her name was Luna Lifestealer. Alex was in awe. Luna was staring at him. He waved awkwardly and immediately regretted it, his entire upper body flushing with shame. Wow. You're Luna Lifestealer, right? If you say so, she shrugged. If you're not, your cosplay's on point. Wow. Yeah, Luna said. She flipped her coffee-colored hair out of her chestnut eyes, tapped a metallic cuff on her left arm, and perused her heads-up display. Then she looked past him, like something more interesting was happening in the wings. Are you mentally impaired? She asked. Or can you help me out? I think I'm okay, Alex muttered. But things are super trippy right now. Am I dreaming? In many ways, yes, she said. He wasn't sure he knew what that meant, but he didn't really care. Some great music was playing, and he knew the song, I Feel Love, by the disco singer Donna Summer. It was one of his mother's favorites. She played it incessantly when she was cooking dinner. The music, the lights, and Luna's image kaleidoscoped around him, creating a hypnotic mood. He suddenly felt boiling heat in his nether regions and a powerful impulse to discard his clothes. Luna hovered nearby, pointing at the horizon with her alien weapon. He ripped off his t-shirt. Getting naked isn't necessary, she said, with no hint of interest. Oh, it's no problem. Want to join me? I've already changed my skin. Did they show you how? I think I know, Alex said, pulling off his socks. He instantly regretted everything he was saying and everything he was doing, but it was as if he'd eaten an entire pack of Genghis's edibles. He just couldn't stop himself. You are Earthborn, I see, Luna said, stepping up to examine him in all his glory. I had expected more, but it'll do. The sound of Giorgio Moroder's space-age synth swelled. The voices of Aspie, Jed, Genghis, and Miz came into focus. They were whooping and hollering as if riding a roller coaster. He couldn't see them, but it seemed everyone was as blissed out as he was. He fell backward into the oblivion of a black hole. He spun into its vortex, and reality warped around the team. Purple twilight stretched out beyond him as he plummeted toward infinity. Luna and a chorus of alien girls lip-synced to the angelic riffing of Donna Summer. Was this the K-pop video Genghis had insisted he watch before the tournament? Luna spun around him and sang while a million stars rushed by and the Moog synth bumped along like a sonic subway train. No pain, no fear, only... What the heck is going on? Alex asked, slurring his words. Then the mood shifted as an evil-looking male entertainer appeared, forcing the female chorus off stage. This interloper carried a black sword and pointed it toward Alex. Netherfang, he called it. He wanted to use the weapon to kill Alex's good vibe. What a villain! Alex hated him immediately and turned away. He saw a discernible path now. He raced down it toward the pine trees, which gleamed like Christmas tinsel. While Netherfang's owner shadowed him, he jogged on past the friendly druid children playing near the Mana Lake. Across the lake now, he swam in the crystalline water, only to see it change and thicken into a horrible oily goo. He stood up, trying his best to wade to shore, waist deep in the muck. Before he stepped free, a hand grabbed him and pulled him back into another black hole. He swirled around and out of it into a colorful nebula and toward a solar system with an Earth-like world, a familiar moon, and a space station orbiting that moon. Luna was back now. Is that Starway station? Alex asked. Yes. The battle moon? Yes. And am I speaking Korean? No, my native tongue, Gladiatorian, but very poorly. Who was that creep with the sword? Oh, Vexus. We can't let him win. But I'm no champion. No, you're much more than that. Much more. For some reason, the comment made him emotional. Then Jed was next to him. Intergalactic travel is a bitch, Jed moaned. Hey man, we're here, Genghis said. Wake up, buddy. I can't seem to... Alex said groggily. I got you, bud. Hold on. Genghis stretched across the universe and poked Alex in his third eye chakra, and everything came to a screeching halt. They were here, wherever here was. Chapter 8. The rift in the fabric of time and space opened, and the SPARKLES MODFIA team flew through from the other side. Alex woke up, gasping for air, wildly aware something life-changing had just happened. He and the team had landed hard on some kind of astroturf. Their clothes had burned up in transit and crumpled off them like blackened paper, leaving them terribly naked. But before unmanageable shame took root, they were swarmed by skulk medics who injected them with syringes full of glowing liquid. The magic fluid instantly clothed everyone in basic player attire. Lodcraft skinned hearts! Aspie marveled. Wow! She tugged at the form-fitting garment. Alex did the same. It reminded him of the wetsuits surfers wore in cold water. Noob skins, though, Jed complained. At least we're not bare-ass naked, Ms. said, checking to make sure her lady parts were sufficiently concealed. Sure enough, they were wearing what every new player of Cosmic Champions wore when they spawned into the matchmaking lobby. Alex touched the material. It was a fabric, like spandex, yet sturdier and more durable. Emblazoned on their backs were their gamer tags and their team's name, SPARKLES MODFIA. Under that, in a smaller script, it said, Earthborn. Look where we are, Ms. said, pointing to their surroundings. They'd landed in the center of a giant arena, complete with a sparse audience. Real-life characters, identifiable from game lore, sat in the stadium seats and hung over the edges of the walls. For a minute, the crowd of players closest to them stared, then went back to their business, laughing and telling stories. One champion was sitting alone, talking to himself. Another read a book of spells that levitated in front of them. Another allowed a group of medic skulks to bandage his wounded arm. Wow, those are real honest-to-God champions, straight out of the game, Jed yelled. People, we aren't in Kansas anymore. No, that's for sure, Genghis said. But where are we, man? Starway Station, of course, Bonegrin growled, waving a claw at the arena. Alex had almost forgotten about his new sponsors, if you could call them that. It seemed the team was still in custody. More specifically, Spawn Arena, Nightbane added. where new players are trained to enter the game like real champions ready for battle, and where we now leave you to be tested. Be victorious, or be culled. Good fortune, Earthborn. The Bone Grin opened a new portal for Nightbane, and the two of them disappeared in a flash. Alex sighed. Finally, we're free of those creeps. No joke, man, Jed agreed. Game lore explained that Starway Station orbited the Battle Moon, a planetoid, where the game's primary field of play existed. The Battle Moon orbited an Earth-like planet named Gladatoria. The Cosmomancers, the game's creators, had discovered Gladatoria eons ago. It was a planet of war-loving humanoids who were selected to be the game's first competitors, and the Battle Moon's guardians. Starway Station served as the main depot for new teams and the gateway to the moon. Spawn Arena was one of the many parts of Starway Station. New players were trained and tested in the arena. Also, this was the place single players were paired with others before starting. Once matched, they were teleported down to the Battle Moon in teams of 5, where the actual game began. Still amazed by their surroundings, the Modfia gathered in the center of the field. A buzzer went off, and everyone in the stand stared down at them. The team instinctively formed a circle. Standing back to back, they waited for the other shoe to drop. It didn't take long. On the opposite side of the arena, a monster made of living rock stepped out of a tunnel into the light. "Who the heck is that?" Alex asked. "Wow. Dickfight, the elemental rock creature, one of the most feared lore champions in the game," Aspie said as if reading from a manual. "I know that, Aspie. What I'm asking is, who is in the suit?" "Who's in your suit, Earthborn?" Dipfight laughed. He picked up a battle mace and threw it. The team dove out of the way as the weapon flew over their heads. One spectator yelled from the stands, "Way to go, D! Introduce yourselves to the noobs!" "Now what?" Ms. groaned, getting back to her feet. "Now you prove yourselves, Earthborn." Dickfight hurled another battle mace the size of a tree at the team. It missed them by inches and slammed into the turf, creating a deep crater. He trudged forward. "Oh, man, we have to get out of here," Alex started backpedaling. "This should be good. They're not battle-ready," a second spectator yelled gleefully. "He'll kill them!" "Not if I have anything to say about it." A beautiful warrior, looking like she just stepped out of an anime film, jumped into the arena. "No way." Alex's mouth dropped open. "Luna? Life Stealer?" Luna stepped in front of the team and pulled out her signature chain weapon, called a kusarigama. "Stand down, vicious fiend!" "Yeah, dick feet," Jed said, shaking his fist. The rock monster looked very annoyed. "Curse you, Life Stealer! Why are you out of your cage?" "And what of you, Dickfight? Attacking innocents? Does Malvexus hold your leash now? I tire of your interference. If locking you up won't get you out of the way, then killing you will. You are no match for me, Ogre. I've defeated you before." "This time, I have help," he said, waving at the tunnel guards. "Bring out the Merc Fiend. Let him string Life Stealer's guts out for all to see." Luna backed up a few steps. "Uh-oh, despoiler the Merc Fiend," she muttered under her breath. "Not good." The skulks opened a tunnel gate and scattered. Dickfight turned, watching and waiting for the Merc Fiend to appear. But nothing happened. "Hurry, brother, new players to test," Dickfight called. "Again," the spoiler shouted back. "Yes, we're all waiting. I hope Malvexus pays his debts," the Merc Fiend grumbled. A second later, a gigantic monster, composed of living vines and plants, stepped out next to Dickfight. "Oh, no! Despoiler is one of the strongest champions in the game," Aspie said. Despoiler smiled and puffed out his swamp monster chest. "Isn't that nice, brother? These little monkeys know who I am. Killing them will be a pleasure." A long spear made of some ancient root grew from the chest of Despoiler. He broke it off and hurled it at the team, who scattered as the spear zinged past. They regrouped in the center, but Dickfight and Despoiler were advancing now. Luna turned to the team and motioned for them to back away. Everyone did, except Genghis and Alex, who were staring at Luna. "Garcia, look who it is!" Genghis shouted excitedly. Alex didn't need the obvious pointed out. He had been completely gobsmacked by Luna since she had jumped into the arena. All concerns about dying at the hands of Dickfight and Despoiler had been supplanted by some kind of hypnosis. A million dazzling images of Luna Lifestealer, stored in a million brain cells, seemed to burst forth, flooding the mind's eye, spilling over into the limbic system, and releasing a flood of sweet dopamine. The tiniest bit of drool pooled at the corner of Alex's mouth. He was transfixed and couldn't shake the spell. Luna glared at Alex, who was awkwardly pawing at her as if to prove she wasn't a holographic projection. "Oh my gosh, it is you!" He touched her again, unable to break the tractor beam pulling him in. "Can you please stop touching my hair?" Luna took another step back. "I'm trying to save your life, and that's very distracting." "Not to mention super creepy," Dickfight yelled. The monster had stopped to pick up another weapon and was standing across the field next to Despoiler, with one rock-like hand on his stony hip. The arena audience broke out in a raucous laughter, but Alex didn't hear a sound. Luna scowled at the Modfia. "What's wrong with your leader?" "He's not the leader," Aspie clarified. "We fired him." Luna gave Aspie a quick, inquisitive look. "So, you claim the mantle of leadership?" "I guess." Aspie shrugged. "It seems a poor fit, but so be it." Luna raised her hand and yelled an exultant war cry. "Prepare your team for battle!" "But how do we fight these guys?" Genghis asked. "With these, of course," Luna said, producing a strange-looking crossbow and firing 5 new skin darts. Each found their intended targets. Their plungers depressed as if by magic, and the fluid within drained into Alex, Aspie, Miz, Jed, and Genghis. In seconds, they all swooned and collapsed on the ground as if dead. Luna took the last dart and injected herself. Her eyes rolled back while a strange substance leaked from her pores and poured down her legs and arms, forming a new battle skin. The form-fitting armor gleamed in the arena lights. She tapped it with a fingernail, testing the metallic shell. Meanwhile, Modcraft magic spread over the team, clothing them in new outfits, armor, and sheathed weaponry. Slowly, they woke wrapped in new skins that matched their favorite avatars. While they kept their recognizable human faces, voices, and most of their original forms, they had somehow morphed into a new amalgamation, becoming the very avatars they played in the game. Alex was the first to stand up, examining his new skin, a perfect replica of Titan's clothing and basic armor. While that was amazing, he was more impressed with how he felt. Stronger and more energized than he'd ever felt in real life. Genghis echoed that feeling. "Holy shiz, I feel fantastic!" "So do I!" "What's in that stuff?" Alex asked. He plucked the dart from his skin and examined the vial. "And we look awesome," Jed said, marveling at the fit of his dark shadow-weave cloak. "Game-accurate battle skins," Aspie marveled. "But how's any of this possible?" Genghis asked. "It's gotta be Kickstarter," Jed laughed. "Otherwise, I've lost my mind." "Quickly arm yourselves!" Luna shouted. She pointed at a nearby wall. every conceivable science fiction and fantasy weapon a geek could dream up hung there, waiting to be used. Genghis rushed over, and everyone else followed. Far out. Genghis grabbed a staff from the wall and found it was a basic match to the one his character carried within the game. He twirled it, doing several skip-catch spins to test its weight. Hey man, this is cool! Jed found 2 level 1 Shadow Weave daggers, his favorite weapons. He stared at them, stunned. I have a hard-on. Me too, Ms. said. Espy looked at her. Are you serious? You know what I mean, girl, Ms. shot back. No, I don't, but this place? This world, she purred, doing a pirouette with the grace of a ballet dancer taking in everything around them. It's so much more interesting than some guy's boner. The entire team doubled over laughing while Aspie ran over to the archery section of the weapons wall. I still don't know what is going on here. Did someone drug us and slap on a pair of virtual reality headsets? Alex scratched his head. It has to be a prank. Maybe some rich fanboy built a replica of Spawn Arena, Jed said. This is the real game, Aspie declared. We've crossed into some kind of alternate dimension or fast-traveled across the universe. That's the only logical explanation. Alex looked at Aspie, amazed. She had no trouble accepting the impossible. Perhaps because of the unique way her mind worked, she was totally at ease with her conclusion. Somehow, that reassured Alex. Yeah, I'm starting to agree with Aspie, Ms. said. Me too, Genghis agreed. Even though I know it's completely impossible, somehow we're actually inside the game. Alex couldn't quite digest it, even though he was thinking the same thing. Ms. pulled a battle axe from its sheath and tapped it against the armored plates on her chest. Bro, this armor is real, and so are these weapons. She slammed the axe into the arena ground, and it split the strange astroturf open, leaving a massive divot that exposed a metal plate deep underneath the floor's padding. Espy stood to one side, seemingly oblivious to Ms. and her axe. She was testing a bow in her hand. Retrieving an arrow from the quiver on her back, she knocked it and fired. It flew toward Dickfight, then magically divided into 2 pieces that flew past him, looped back around, hit him in the butt, and exploded. Dickfight yelped and stumbled to his knees, cursing. The team whooped in celebration. Satisfied everyone was ready, Luna beckoned to Despoiler, who was already stomping toward the team. You want to fight, Merc Fiend? Luna yelled. Bring it on! Her bravado disappeared when she realized Despoiler was moving too quickly. His giant hand swung with the weight of a wrecking ball, scooped Luna into his swampy mitt, and swatted her across the field toward the arena wall. Despite being stunned and sailing dangerously toward her doom, she deployed her kusarigama. The sickle flashed in her hand while the attached chain shot back across the arena at Despoiler, lassoing his throwing arm. When the chain snapped taut, Luna's momentum was reversed. She swung back the other way and crashed into Despoiler with such force that he toppled over, breaking his fall with his own monstrous face. Luna landed on her feet like a cat, grinning from ear to ear. The crowd cheered, but Dickfight was on the move. He hurled a new stone mace that whizzed over Alex, barely missing his head. Maybe this isn't virtual reality, Alex said. I felt the heat coming off that mace when it whizzed by. I'm pretty sure we're dead meat if it hits us. Exactly right, Earthborn. Defend yourselves or die! Dickfight barreled past a group of weapons, grabbed a spear, and hurled it at the team. Oh, dang it! Jed yelled. Move, people! Everyone scattered toward what they hoped was an exit, but they found themselves fenced in by the arena wall. Alex scanned the crowd. Where was Bonegrin or Nightbane? If he found them, he would insist they stop this insanity. "Who do you search for, Earthborn? No one is coming to save you." Fight threw another spear at the team. Angus grabbed a shield and barely had it on his arm when the spear hit it dead center and splintered apart. "Dank, but totally uncool," he shouted. That attack angered Aspie. She picked up a piece of the smashed spear and hurled it at the monster. It hit him square in the head. "Back off, bozo!" Dick Fight scooped Aspie up in his gargantuan hand. "I'm gonna eat you for lunch," he snarled. Suddenly, Luna's magical sickle and chain shot out and whirled around the monster's thick wrist. "Hands off the strange-looking girl!" Luna yelled, jerking the chain. Aspie spilled out onto the arena floor. "Thanks, I guess," Aspie muttered as she staggered to her feet. Luna flashed a worried and disapproving look at the Modfia. She didn't seem impressed with their fighting skills. "Use your numbers as an advantage. Half of you attack Despoiler, and the other half attack Dickthite," she scolded, turning her attention back to Dickthite and raising her weapon to finish him. Unfortunately, the monster was one step ahead and hit Luna with a devastating sucker punch. Luna went down just as the team went into action. Genghis, now dressed like a kick-ass ninja monk, tossed a magical blinding powder into Dick Fight's eyes. Miz hurled her battle axe, hitting the rock creature in the chest, knocking him on his ass. Without missing a step, Jed pounced, cat-like, whirling his two short daggers, and stabbed Despoiler in his plant-covered hand, pinning one, then leaping to the other and pinning the second in the same way. Alex, looking like Titan in the flesh, charged with his longsword, yelling and swinging it down like a guillotine onto Despoiler's throat. "Yield, swamp face, or the head comes off." The team circled around the monster, heroically ready to strike again. Aspie helped Luna back to her feet, and she joined them. But the victory was short-lived when Dipfight, who had recovered, swiped away Alex's sword. His stony arm grated across the pristine blade like nails on a chalkboard. No longer threatened, Despoiler ripped his hands free, lurched upward to get back on his feet, and hit Luna so hard it seemed to crush her upon impact. Luna fell onto the turf near the weapons wall and didn't get back up. Aspie knocked another arrow and fired. It hit Dickfight's center mass, and he fell to his knees. Alex reclaimed his sword, and the team ran away, desperately trying to find cover. Soon, both Despoiler and Dipfight were rushing them in tandem, cornering the team against the wall opposite the weapons. A perfect trap. Despoiler reached inside the tangle of his swamp body for a new spear, but Alex lunged forward, swinging his sword wildly, until by some crazy stroke of luck he decapitated the creature. The monster's head flew away, rolled on the turf for several paces, and stopped to stare back up at his shocked sibling's rocky face. "Oh, brother!" the rock creature cried. Kablam! Dickfight fell over with a hole through his stony chest. Molten blood oozed out, producing a foul stench of sulfur. Luna stepped toward the team holding the literal smoking gun. She planted one leather boot on Dickfight's body and casually reloaded her weapon while keeping an eagle eye on the creature for any movement. Satisfied both monsters were dead, or at least not getting back up, she tossed the weapon away, then raised a fist in victory. The final buzzer sounded, and the match was over. The crowd erupted in mild applause, but Luna didn't want to celebrate. "Never, ever show mercy to your opponent," she lectured. "That's Combat 101. Alex stood there, just marveling at her. Even though she was obviously mad, a strange electricity flickered through him. He wanted to eat her, like the Cookie Monster eats cookies. She ignored his stupid expression and leaned in, as if she was going to give him her final admonishment. Instead, she whispered a warning. "Whatever you do, don't trust Crane. Understand? Yeah, sure. Alex was a frozen mass of stupidity. How do we get to the battle moon? Aspie asked. You don't, Luna said, turning to walk away. You lot need to be sent back home before you die. None of you are ready to face what's down there. A new portal opened near the team. On that point, we agree, Bonegrin said, stepping through. Nightbane joined him. After regarding the team with a look of disgust, she clapped her hands, drawing a squad of security skulks onto the field. When they reached Bonegrin, the leader of the group saluted him and asked for instructions. Bonegrin pointed at Luna. Take her to containment, he said. I've had enough of her insolence. The security team ran up to Luna, who strangely offered no resistance. Ms. gave Alex a hard look. She seemed mad or about to cry. He wasn't sure. Then she turned her cold stare toward Bonegrin. I'm so sick of you two. If you don't get us home right now, I swear I'll beat the living— Ms. stopped, coughed, and then doubled over, holding her stomach. Guys, she's gonna toss her cookies, Genghis said. Ms. stumbled a few steps forward, reaching for Jed as her eyes rolled up into the back of her head. Jed caught her as she fell into his arms. What the heck is wrong with her? He pleaded, looking around for an answer. Then Jed succumbed to the same sickness. He slumped over, unconscious, next to Ms. They lay there in a pile. A nap? That's a good idea. I need one too, Genghis said, as he collapsed face first into the arena turf. In seconds, the entire team had fallen like dominoes. The last thing Alex saw before the darkness took him was Nightbane standing over him, smiling. Chapter 9. Alex Garcia woke up on a space-age platform that reminded him of a hospital bed. A ring of keys jangled over him like a miniature chandelier. Wake up, young man, a voice squeaked. Where am I? Alex muttered, rubbing his eyes. A strange gnome, standing some 3 feet high and wearing a white lab coat, stood on the side of his bed. He held a magnifying eyeglass, which he was using to examine Alex. Take it easy, boy. I'll answer all your questions in due course. Right now, we need to make sure you're not dead. Would I be talking if I were dead? Believe me, it happens all the time, Crane replied. Do you know your name? Alex. Alex Garcia. Mm-hmm. Perhaps that last blow to your head did some damage. Your gamer tag says Titan. Alex sat up. He was back in his basic player uniform. The battle skin and weapons were gone. And who are you? Dr. Fester Crane, of course. Who else? Crane? Alex knew the name, but barely. Fester Crane was an unpopular lore character in Cosmic Champions. The name triggered an unpleasant feeling, but he couldn't reason why. You know, Alex, he's the shady Criterium gnome, Aspie whispered. The one always trying to steal power from the Game Master? Alex turned to see she was hovering over him, snacking on something that looked like string cheese. I beg your pardon, young lady. I'm a respected battle alchemist, and the chief engineer assigned to manage all new players and programs at Starway Station. A recent promotion, apparently, Aspie whispered. My dear, please. Dr. Fester Crane has a mind as strong as a steel trap, and a body fit as a Quillodian fiddle. The gnome winked, beating his chest a bit in mock pride. Pray to the cosmomancers. You look this good when you are 400 years old. Skulk technicians buzzed around the room, cleaning, sorting, and doing various tasks that made no sense to Alex. Alex closed his eyes and rubbed his forehead. The last thing he could remember was being on the arena floor, and feeling like death warmed over. Nightbane had been standing over him, examining him with a look of disdain. "I had high hopes for you, Alex of Garcia," she had said. Her magic-covered fingers tickled the air, and Alex's heads-up display flashed red. The word defective appeared in bold letters. Then his HUD screen blurred as a squad of chattering skulks surrounded him. Before everything faded to black, he heard Nightbane give her final command. "Take these hit sponges away. Perhaps Crane can put them to use." Alex shook the memory off and opened his eyes again. He was in a large room that was a cross between a posh hotel room and a medical lab. This had to be Spawn Medical, where new players healed after battling each other in game tutorials. His teammates were already awake, sitting around a table, eating and whispering. The old gnome skittered to the foot of his bed, giving orders to his skulk assistants. The little goblin-like creatures wore hooded hospital scrubs. They scurried this way and that, obediently responding to each of Crane's commands. "Keep that one sedated," Crane ordered, pointing across the room. "She could ruin things for everyone if she wakes up." Alex pushed himself up on his elbows to get a better look. Luna Lifestealer was on a nearby bed, asleep, and snoring rather loudly. "What's wrong with her?" Alex asked. "Many things, my lad. Most notably her brain pan seems fried," Crane said, twirling his finger next to his head. "Several screws loose up in the old noggin." He turned and gave Alex a devilish wink. "Not quite herself these days." "No, not at all. Will she be okay?" "Of course, my dear boy, of course." The gnome patted Alex on the knee as he walked up the bed. He leaned over Alex again. The tip of his finger glowed, and he used it like a penlight to check Alex's pupils. "Is this Spawn Medical?" Alex asked. "Of course." Fester's breath smelled like onions. Alex winced. "Are you all right, my boy? You look in pain and seem to have forgotten everything about why you are here, or how you arrived." "I'm fine," he said, sneaking a look at his friends and their table of food. "Just a bit hungry." "Yes, well, if you feel well enough, please indulge yourself," Crane said, waving his hand toward the table. Alex got up and joined the team. He took a handful of red grapes. As he talked and snacked, he felt each grape seemed to add to his energy level. He was buzzing with... what was it? Adrenaline? He checked his heads-up display. The health bar crept across the screen as he ate the grapes. The mana bar, that showed his level of magical power, was ticking up as well. Now he knew why Aspie and everyone else looked so happy. They were literally replenishing their health and mana as if they were characters in the game. The game. Wow. The game really was his world now. He was a living character in a real-life version of Cosmic Champions. He didn't understand it, and he still suspected it might be a dream, or some trick of technology, but in this moment, and the little moments after it, the game was reality, and reality was the game. Slowly, he digested this truth along with the fruit. Each grape was strange but sweet, and each bump of mana and health felt wonderful. "Aspie, what do you think? Is this some kind of virtual reality?" Alex asked, scratching his head. Angus looked just as wary. "No, can't be. Way too real. So unsettling." Jed had a different opinion. "Personally, I love it. But we need to get out of here. That saggy imp is lying to us. I'm sure of it." Suddenly, he threw an empty juice can right toward Crane. Alex blocked it, and it clanked to the floor. "Dude!" Alex hissed. "Let's get some answers before you start another fight we can't finish." Aspie raised her hand like she was asking a question. "I already said that. First, we need to know why we woke up feeling so sick. Also, what about her?" She pointed at Luna. Why was she trying to help us? And why were those monsters mad at her? And what was in those darts? Did she poison us with something? Crane was across the room with his back turned. They had assumed he wasn't listening, but his large gnome ears had heard every word. "Don't worry, my dear. Modcraft's skin darts aren't dangerous," Crane said. "Yeah, okay, but what's in them?" Aspie asked again. "Basic magic spells, completely harmless." "Harmless?" Ms. repeated. "Is this Grandpa Smurf crazy? I felt like I was dying." "It takes a bit of time to adjust to the magic, but the Cosmomancers have conjured skin transformations for millennia. They are very, very safe," Crane said. Ms. wasn't buying it. "What happened to us in the arena?" Alex asked. "You were deemed defective," Crane said. "That's why you were sent here instead of queuing for the next game on the Battle Moon." Crane wagged one of his little Yoda-like claws. "But don't worry. Your body and mind will adapt to your new surroundings, and as they do, your skins and abilities change. You gain access to more offensive capabilities that match your unique personalities and emotions." "In other words, you level up," Alex added. "Exactly, dear boy," Crane agreed. "You five have spent a good part of your life playing Cosmic Champions, never knowing that the Cosmomancers were using the gameplay to train you for something much more advanced." "A date with a Kardashian?" Jed quipped. Aspie flashed a look. "Ew. Really?" Jed shrugged. "I like MILFs, man." Ms. stood up. "Look, Gizmo, we didn't ask to come here. All we need is a way to get home." "Home? Do you mean Earth?" Crane waved that idea away. He looked at them with widening eyes. "I thought you understood. You're a million light years away from your home planet." A panel on the nearby wall rose, uncovering a large porthole made of reinforced glass. This revealed a stunning view of outer space. They could see both Gladatoria and the Battle Moon orbiting nearby. A massive star, some millions of miles away, peeked over the edge of the planet, and a dazzling magenta-colored nebula swirled beyond that. It was obvious this was not their solar system, and all doubts about being in a space station were put to rest. "Starway Station is your home now," Crane said, admiring the view. Alex had seen computer animations of this view many times before. It was the only reason he didn't die from shock. "You're trying to tell me that's the actual Battle Moon?" Ms. asked. "Yes, of course. What else? The Battle Moon of Gladiatoria," Crane said. "Beautiful, mysterious, and so wonderfully deadly. The Battle Moon differed from the Earth's moon. While one part remained a gray, barren desert, the other half was a lush, alien wilderness. And from their vantage point, they could see a river and one main road dividing the strange landscape. Two magnificent-looking castles rose at opposite ends of the wilderness." Alex covered his eyes with both hands and tried to accept the truth as he now understood it. It seemed the game they had played for years wasn't a fantasy at all, but a meticulous recreation of an alien world. The Battle Moon was a real planetoid many thousands of light years away from Earth, and the computer game Cosmic Champions was an incredibly accurate simulation being used by a group of intelligent beings, called the Cosmomancers, as a kind of elaborate training tool. The game prepared would-be champions for the moment they were whisked away across the universe to do real battle with other real players in a real tournament. Alex took a deep breath and asked, "What about our lives back on Earth? Our families will go nuts when we turn up missing." Crane shook his head. "No need to worry, my boy. The Starway warps space, but much more. It plucks you out of your reality and places you in a pocket beyond time. A herald can send you back to the exact place and the exact moment you left. You won't miss a minute of your life back on your home planet, and no one will even know you've been gone. That's good, I guess, but how do we get home? Ms. asked again, her voice betraying how confused and scared she was. The only way anyone ever goes home is as a champion of the cosmos. You have to win the game, fair and square. Defeat your opponents in battle. Then you may journey home and invite your world to join the Cosmic Alliance. Crane turned from the window, grabbed a new syringe. However, I'm afraid your performance in Spawn Arena suggests you are not champion material. Of course we are, Alex said, turning on the little gnome. I hope for your sake that's true. Your lives and the lives of all Earthborns certainly depend on it. Chapter 10. While the team continued discussing the wonders of their new world, Alex got up and walked over to Luna's bed. It seemed she was in a deep sleep, but the snoring had stopped. He marveled at her once again. Pixels and computer code had come to life like a video game Cinderella. How completely beautiful she was. More so than any concept art or poster in his room back home. Was she okay? That was what he really wanted to know. When he turned to look for a nurse, Luna grabbed his wrist. Earthborn, heed my warning, she whispered, cracking one eyelid open ever so slightly. Alex finished her sentence. About Crane? She raised a finger to her lips to quiet Alex, then nodded. Yes, that's right. Are you okay? Luna pulled him closer. Alex was so happy. The gnome is a liar, and this place is a prison. He's in league with the Griefers and the Crimson Prince. He can't be trusted. Alex nodded. He wanted to know more, to understand the passion behind her concern. He opened his mouth to ask another question. Take Lifestealer to the isolation cells, Crane croaked. He was back with a squad of armored skulks. I'm fine. I don't need any medical attention, Luna said, waving them off. Better safe than sorry, my dear, Crane said, pushing Alex away from the bed. Before anyone could protest, he tossed a fistful of glittering powder over Luna's face. She coughed, sputtered, and finally lost consciousness. Crane then eye-checked the lead skulk who, along with his squad, somehow magically levitated Luna's bed and pushed it out of the room. Alex watched Luna go with a heavy amount of trepidation, then returned to the table with the team. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Chapter 11. Later that night, the team reclined in their bunks, goofing off. Alex strolled in after a shower, a towel wrapped around his waist and one around his head like a turban. Time for a team meeting, he said, clapping his hands. Get dressed first. You look like a drag queen, Jed joked. Alex didn't argue. He got dressed, and eventually the group gathered around his bunk, eager to talk. It seemed the team's desire to process what was happening outweighed their bitterness toward him. Even though he was positive their anger was still smoldering below the surface, maybe everyone would move on. Surely, the present problems were more important than the meltdown at the tournament. Okay, spill it, Alex said. What's everyone thinking? They collectively glared at him without saying a word. You guys always complain that I don't listen. Well, I'm listening, he said. He stared back at them, scanning each face, hoping one of them would crack the awkward silence. I can safely say I'm picking up a collective bad vibe, Genghis offered. As cool as this entire experience has been, my spider sense is tingling off the charts. Aceby nodded. Usually, my radar for these things has zero bandwidth, but Fester Crane gives me the creeps, Ms. added. Yeah, this is either the greatest opportunity in our lives, or we're about to die horribly. The worst part is, no one is going to know, Alex said. Wouldn't dying be the worst part? Aspie asked, cocking her head. Jed raised an eyebrow at Alex. Help her with that, will you? The worst part is no one would know, Alex repeated, offering no further explanation. But yeah, dying sucks too. I think we should find a way back to Earth. Ms. said. I'm pretty sure Bonegrin still has the portal key, but maybe there's another one somewhere, Aspie said. Alex nodded. Okay, so one option is to find a portal key and get out of here. Jed threw his hands up. What the heck? Running away isn't the answer. If there is anywhere we belong, it's here. We spend all our time playing this dang game. Now we're inside it, living it for real. Genghis nodded stoically. Jed is right. I think there is more to see here. Plus, we have actual skills. And if we level up, real magical powers. This is like all of our dreams come true. Why do you two assume this is my dream? Huh? Ms. grumbled. This game isn't my whole life, okay? And I'm nowhere near ready to die playing it. Jed looked at Alex for help. Alex laced his fingers together, popped his knuckles, and looked up at one corner of the ceiling like he was calculating a math problem. I understand wanting to go back home. I agree with Ms. and Aspie. Something is not right with our current situation. I've been super freaked out since we landed in that arena. But like Jen Genghis said, staying might be better than what's waiting for us back home. However, Crane and the others are definitely hiding something. I think we should find out what that is before we leave. Yeah, I can get behind that, Jed said mischievously. Let's do a little secret investigation. See what's what. Ms. folded her arms over her chest. If it's legit and safe, we can stay longer, but if it's not, we get the heck out. Agreed? I'm down, Genghis said. Looking around, everyone else nodded in agreement. So, what's the plan? First, we need to find Luna Lifestealer, Alex said. Jed rolled his eyes. Her again? He saved us from Despoiler and Dick Fight, Aspie said. But I'm not sure we can trust her. Yeah, Crane thinks she's sick or crazy, Ms. added. Maybe, but true gladiatorian warriors don't lie. It's part of their honor code. We know that from the lore. They were the first race to play the game for the Cosmomancers. Alex knows a lot about Luna, Genghis offered. He curates one of her fan pages on the internet. What's your handle? At Luna Liker 99? Alex elbowed him in the ribs. Dude, shut up. Did you say Luna Licker? Oh, dang, that's nasty. Ms. covered her mouth with one hand, suppressing a string of giggles. Jed piled on. Oh, I want to tell her that, like right now. Whatever, laugh it up. Ha ha ha. Alex laughed sarcastically. The team erupted in a momentary burst of giggles. Alex did his best to ignore them, even though he was secretly glad they were all having fun. He didn't want to argue about his plan. He was determined to find Luna. She knew things about this world they didn't. He was sure she was trying to tell him something important before Crane had sedated her. Alex drew a quick map of the complex, at least what little he had seen and remembered. Jed dumped a few radios on the table next to the maps, which briefly surprised everyone. What's everyone looking at? The communicators? I got them from one of the skulks. Jed shrugged. Genghis, can you figure these out? Yeah, I saw Crane's nurses using them. They seem simple enough. He fiddled with the communicators, while Alex explained the plan. Okay, Jed and Aspie, you two check out these labs. He pointed at the east wing. Ms. and Genghis, you hit the other ones, see what they are really doing in there. He pointed them to the west wing. And I'll check out the isolation wing, Alex concluded. If Crane is keeping Luna a prisoner, we need to know why. But we are locked in here, Aspie said. How do we get out? With these, of course, Jad said. He jangled Crane's chain full of baubles and keys before dropping them into the center of the table. Everyone looked at him, amazed. What? He said, smiling proudly. I'm the best thief in the game. Haven't I been saying that forever? Yes, he had, thought Alex. Jed had gloated about his character's powers for years. Now that they were put to the test, it seemed his confidence was justified. Would that be the case for the rest of the team? Was there a real champion lurking deep within each of them? They were about to find out. Chapter 12. Aspie and Jed had a good view from their hiding place in the restricted lab, and what they saw was very interesting. Fester Crane examined one of the young alien players, who had fought and lost in the arena. They had strapped the poor blue-skinned sap to a chair with his head slumped on his chest. The chair was bolted to a mechanical rail system. One end pointed toward an enormous wall full of glowing orbs. This central point was cloaked in the darkest of shadows, but appeared to be a tunnel. Crane was speaking to another champion he called Lackey Lickspittle. Lackey was a frightening wasteland goblin with enormous ears that flapped on his head like little sails, a bulbous nose and nostrils that flared as he spoke. His warty, mottled skin was green like diseased swamp water, and his long pink tongue was barbed at the end. He wore a nose ring made of bone, 2 enormous gold earrings, and carried a large staff with a crystal orb on the end. He paced in front of a control panel like he had authority. He fiddled with knobs and levers of various sizes, causing them to buzz with electrical energy. Occasionally, the orbs on the wall would flare to life, illuminating everything in a wine-colored light. The center of shadows extended deeper into the wall, forming a distinct tunnel that had no discernible end. Jed thought it mimicked the strange physics of the Starway. "I don't understand it. The field warps well enough. It must be your vehicle. There's not enough negative mass," the goblin grumbled. "Malvexus wants a conduit from here to every world he chooses. It must adjust according to his specifications and stay open long enough for safe passage." "The mass on the vehicle is correct," Crane growled. "You know nothing of these things, Lackey. Out of the way." "It is wrong." Lackey, who was only a few inches larger than Crane, swatted the gnome aside with his pointed staff. He then waved the staff over the apparatus, and pieces of the machine rearranged themselves, morphing in size and shape. The alien prisoner groaned as if the rebuilding of the machine was causing him pain. Meanwhile, Fester Crane was dusting himself off. He cursed in protest and leapt, cat-like, onto Lackey's back, pulling at the goblin's large ears like a jockey might rein a horse. The two creatures were very similar in stature with different faces. Lackey looked like he was wearing a scary Halloween mask, while Crane had older, impish features that reminded Jed of a dried, shrunken apple. Their fight might have been comical if they weren't so vicious. "I didn't give you permission to do that," Crane screeched. Lackey snarled, turned on Crane, and grabbed him by the throat. "Who are you to tell me what to do? I'm one of the griefers." "You are an idiot, and if you fail to fix this, you will fail to share the reward." "There will be no reward if we can't open the Starway." Lackey swatted Crane away again. "I have fixed your mistake," he growled. "Activate the portal." "You delude yourself!" Crane cursed again. He rushed Lackey and kicked him in the shins. Lackey yelped in pain, then kicked the gnome, sending him tumbling across the room. "You twisted old monkey!" Lackey yelled. "First, I humiliate you by proving you wrong, then I kill you." He reached for the control panel and threw the largest of the switches. The orbs flared to a blinding red. It forced Jed and Aspie to shield their eyes. The central tunnel seemed to come alive and undulated like the body of a giant serpent. An aperture of energy opened, exposing a magnificent view of a star system. The tunnel folded out into space, stretching for the nearest planet. Then Lackey activated the prisoner's car. It shot out on its rails, jumping onto the fledgling Starway, and promptly pancaked into the wall with such a great speed that it flattened both the chair and the prisoner. There was a bone-chilling cry of horror, a sickening splat, and the resulting crash. The lights dimmed, and the Starway disappeared. There was nothing left of the chair and prisoner but a pile of broken junk and purple-colored jelly dribbling down the wall. Lackey screamed in frustration. He scurried to the wall, ran a finger through the goo, and tasted it. Then he yelled again. Crane snickered. "Yes, another spectacular failure," he said, a twinkle in his beady gnome eye. "I'll send my report to Malvexus immediately." Lackey was already storming out of the room. "Bring another defective player. We try again in 1 hour." A team of skulks scurried into the room and began cleaning the wall and the debris. Vester Crane produced a cigar, lit it, and studied the crash while he took a few puffs, then hurried out of the room. Aspie turned to Jed with a look of amazement. "I can't believe it. How is any of this possible? It must be a trick. But we both just saw it. They just turned that player into jelly." "Did you hear what he said? The Starway is not working properly," she said. That could explain the confusion between what we remember about the game and what has been happening to us. They're trying to reverse engineer all of this. Lackey's trying to build a new Starway to bring in more players for this Malvexus guy, whoever the heck that is. "And we're the guinea pigs," Jed said. Aspie agreed. "This is horrible. If we can't find a real portal key, I'm not sure there's a way home." Aspie moved closer to Jed, holding his arm in a vice grip. Jed looked at her. He'd never seen her scared before. She rarely showed any emotion, especially not fear. "You know, you're very pretty when you're worried," he blurted. She wouldn't look him in the eyes. "If that's true, I should be pretty all the time." Jed was embarrassed, but not enough to hit the brakes. Suddenly, he was fascinated by Aspie's ability to figure out their bizarre situation so fast. He wished he had that kind of mind. "You're some kind of genius, right?" he asked. "Why spend so much time playing Cosmic Champions? You could get rich doing so many other things." "I'd rather just be normal." "Who the heck do you know who's normal?" Now it was Aspie's turn to stare. Jed had no idea what she was thinking, but she smiled and seemed genuinely fascinated by what he'd just said. He couldn't believe he'd never noticed how pretty she was. She leaned in. Jed needed no more encouragement. He closed the gap, kissed her, and promptly shoved his tongue into her mouth. Aspie pulled back and slapped him. "Gross!" "Oh, dang." "I'm sorry," he yelled. The slap had been loud enough to get the nearby skulks' attention. They turned and spotted Jed and Aspie hiding in the corner. "Save it," she said, noticing they were caught. "We'd better run." They bolted out of the door and down the hallway. Chapter 13. Angus and Miz hid behind a row of empty crates stuffed into the corner of the large laboratory. The room was abuzz with the sound of whirling fans cooling the monstrous apparatus in the center of the room. "Look, something's happening," Genghis said. Miz yanked Genghis to his knees. "Watch it. They may see us." White light illuminated one wall of the room and a portal leading to Spawn Arena opened. Genghis and Miz observed a team of 5 goat-headed creatures who they assumed were aliens from another planet emerge through the opening. They spilled out onto the stone floor of the lab. One appeared unconscious. Several were obviously wounded. The last 2 could stand, but looked to be in shock. "This race has no natural ability in combat. Use them for your machine or let them die. It matters not to me," Bonegrin growled. He was still standing in Spawn Arena. When the other champion nodded, the portal collapsed, and Bonegrin disappeared. "You heard him," Cadaver scolded, wagging her bony finger in the air. "The only sensible solution is repurposing their essence." Vester Crane watched from around the corner. "Are you not concerned about changing eons of tradition, sorceress? Skulks have always been formed magically by the game engine." The Scourge Elf shrugged. "Unfortunately, Skulks are necessary for the operation of the game. Without them, my master will not be pleased. Well, we can't fail the great Malvexus now, can we? Crane said sarcastically. All who fail Malvexus will die. This is the fate awaiting every planet that stands against his reign. Yes, well, if we succeed, there will be two options for those who oppose your team: die in battle, or serve the game as a mindless minion. Crane shook his head. Two wonderful options, if you ask me, Cadaver laughed. Her skulk technicians let out an approving squeal as they clamored around the room, prepping the machine for its next cycle. First, they sorted the pile of defeated combatants, scooped each from the floor, and one by one deposited them into 5 large cylindrical chambers that seemed to be the centerpiece of the strange machine. Next, the skulks connected the chambers by various hoses, tubes, and pipes to another, larger portion of the apparatus, which was actually some kind of animal of gargantuan size. As the skulks prodded the creature, it revealed its massive squid-like head and roared. The sound was deafening, but also heart-sickening. There was no mistake. It was a plea for help. Genghis and Miz were horrified, but watched quietly, feeling incredibly helpless. Fester, Crane, and Cadaver continued discussing the procedure while watching the skulks from one corner. When the cylinders were sealed, the panicked goat creatures slammed their horned heads against their translucent prisons. Another team of skulks prodded the squid creature with long cattle prods. The squid bellowed again. This time, it seemed in pain. Black liquid burst from underneath its massive frame, traveled down the various tubes, and filled the cylindrical prisons. When the squid's ink spilled into the chambers, the goat creatures bleated, as if both enraged and terrified. In seconds, the chambers were full. The goats, now hidden in their ink bath, struggled to stay alive as more magical energy was applied to the contraption. A nasty smell, akin to burnt hair, wafted through the room. The energy surging through the machine swelled to a crescendo, and finally dissipated. The Scourge elf, overseeing this horror show, waved her zombified hand. The skulks buzzed around the cylinders like bees, and the ink bath drained away. When they opened the tubes, nothing recognizable was left except strings of red fiber, black-stained bones, and pools of melted skin. A collective gasp rose from everyone watching. "What in the heck is that stuff?" Miz asked. "Foul, nasty pile of goat getty," Genghis said. "I'm gonna hurl." Even the hideous Cadaver and her technicians were horrified. "How disgusting!" she said. "And what a complete waste," Crane added, shaking his little gnome head. "This is as bad as Lickspittle's failure in the other lab." What was left of one goat squirmed in its pile. It looked like something between an arm and a tendril, and it stretched out, grasping at the air. Cadaver stepped out of reach. "By the eye of the Scourge!" she shouted. "Does it live?" "Fascinating," Fester Crane said, his ears wiggling with excitement. "Perhaps the concentration of the ink is too strong. You should dilute the next batch." With a flick of her wrist, Cadaver fired a green blast of energy that turned the melted goat person into a pile of gray ash. In quick succession, she blasted the other 4 piles, and the horror show was over. A trio of nervous skulks in biohazard gear appeared, scooped up the remains in a large red bucket, and scurried away, mopping as they went. "I can't watch any more of this," Genghis said. "I know. It's horrible," Miz whispered. "But I still don't know what they're doing." Miz scanned the lab for more clues. One corner of the room was painted gray and seemed to be a blackboard. Cadaver had filled it full of scrawled notes, formulas, and alchemical symbols. At the bottom of all of that, written in bold block letters, were three ominous words: Independent Skulk Manufacturing. Ms. nudged Genghis and pointed at her discovery. Genghis read the board, then turned to Ms. with a look of amazement. "I can't believe it," Genghis said. "They're trying to reverse engineer skulks." "Those poor goat people," Ms. said. "That was a horrible death." Genghis placed a hand on Ms.'s shoulder. "Ms., you were right all along. We need to get out of here as fast as our feet can carry us, or we're next." Chapter 14. In another part of Starway Station, Alex's search led him to an old weapons vault. Mostly it was full of junk, outdated items from earlier versions of the game. He shuffled to the back of the room and rummaged through several ammunition boxes. He pocketed a couple of old vials. One contained a neon green liquid. The other was clear but frothed when he shook it. Finally, he grabbed a corroded modcraft gun like Luna had used in the arena, and a small quiver of dusty skin darts. When he checked the bigger weapons, nothing he found seemed useful. Above the shelving was a ventilation system. Based on all the movies he'd seen, he guessed this would give him the fastest route to the prison cells, but being extremely claustrophobic, he rejected the idea outright. He'd find another way. Suddenly, the door opened. He quickly ducked into the shadows behind the tallest shelf. It was a skulk guard, sweeping his assigned area. It seemed he might turn and leave, but then he spotted one of the open boxes. He stared suspiciously for a beat, looking this way and that. Alex held his breath and prayed. The guard gave the room another sweeping glance, peering suspiciously into the darker corners. Then he grabbed one of the older daggers, tucked it under his arm, and left the way he came. When the coast seemed clear, Alex slipped out of the room and down the hall. He continued around another corner, where he found a large warning sign. It read, "Champion Containment Unit." He had only moved a few paces down the hall when he heard someone whisper his name. "Titan?" It was Luna, Life Stealer, peeking through the food slot of her prison door. Alex could barely make out the details of her face, but having studied it for so long, he knew it was her. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Spying, seeing what's what," Alex said. "But also looking for you. Are you okay?" "Never mind that. If Crane sees you here, he'll kill us both." The slightest squeak startled them. A pair of skulks were speaking their strange gibberish as they scurried down the hallway. "Just hold that thought," Alex said. He ducked around the corner, making sure he was out of sight. When the skulks passed, he returned to Luna. "I assume you'd like to get out of that cell?" "Yes, but Titan, you need to understand what you are getting into by helping me. Save it. Let's get you out of that cage first. Also, you can call me Alex." He flashed a quick smile, then turned, because he heard more skulks coming down the hallway, a larger group this time. He'd have to make this quick. Alex motioned, and Luna retreated to the back of her cell. He fumbled with the vials he'd stolen. The one he wanted to use wouldn't open. "They're coming," she hissed. The group of skulk guards were loud and seemed to argue as they skittered forward. One was slurping on something that looked like a soda can. The other gestured obscenely with his hand. The entire group laughed when he made a jerking motion. That's when they looked down the hallway. "You've been spotted," Luna whispered. The cork on the vial was still stuck, and he was out of time. He jammed the end of the vial into the door's locking mechanism. 3, 2, 1, open sesame! He kicked the glass vial with the heel of his boot, and it exploded with a loud bang, throwing Alex backward. Smoke and debris filled the space. Luna lunged forward and stiff-armed the door. It swung open, having lost its locking mechanism in the explosion. She helped Alex to his feet. "You didn't plan this very well, did you?" "What? That was perfect!" He laughed, brushing dust off his chest. "Distilled dragon gas. Works every time." And what's the plan for them? Luna said, hooking a thumb at the guards. I guess we improvise. Luna nodded calmly. She gritted her teeth, ran toward the guards, leapt in the air, and karate-kicked 2 of them in the face. The rest went down like bowling pins. Now what? Alex asked. Now we run. Chapter 15. Alex ran alongside Luna, anxiously looking down every hallway and in every open door in search of his friends. They needed to regroup. Things were bad. It was an undeniable intuition he couldn't shake. What's really going on in this place? Alex asked. The problems here are just an extension of the problems on the battle moon. A rogue champion. He's taken up residence in the Crimson Castle, and his team, the Griefers, are hacking all the game functions and creating cheats to ensure they never lose another game. And Fester Crane is helping them? Yes, Crane seems to have turned his back on eons of tradition. Where is the game master? No one is certain. Most likely, dead. If this is a real-life spawn station, there should be some way to reach the battle moon from here. Isn't that right? Yes, if you were remotely ready for that, that would be the next step. But death is the only thing waiting for you down there. You'd be a fool to go. Before Alex could respond, the hallway darkened, red lights whirled and flashed, and one of the loudest alarms he'd ever heard bellowed. They were in serious trouble. Where was the rest of the team? While alarms sounded through every corridor, Asby and Jed raced down the hallway, desperately trying to get back to their team barracks. They turned a corner to discover Miz and Genghis running straight at them from a completely different direction. Grateful to see each other, they cheered, patted each other on the back, then continued on to the barracks. When they rounded a third corner, Alex and Luna were there, halfway down the hallway, waving them to safety. "In here, quick!" Alex shouted. Miz pointed and pushed everyone ahead of her. She turned to guard the rear. Images of the melted goat people flashed through her mind. This was beyond serious now. They had to get home before something like that happened to them. A glimmer of movement caught her eye. Skulks were rounding the corner. "Pick up your feet, people," she yelled. "Get your booties in that room." Everyone rushed in. Luna quietly shut the door and locked it just as a group of guards scampered down the hallway past the door. For the moment, they were safe. Miz briefly examined Luna, then turned to Alex. "Question answered. Your girlfriend was right as rain. Nothing here is good news for us." "What did you guys find?" Alex asked. "Horrible things. We need to get the heck out of here," Genghis whispered. "Better we head back home." "Agreed," Jed said. "Miz is right. We can't stay." "Crane is experimenting on players. All his guinea pigs are dead. And we're next." "Well, that settles it," Alex said. "But we need the real portal key. That jerry-rigged Starway isn't functioning correctly. It was so horrible," Asby said, hiding her eyes behind her hands. Genghis put a comforting arm around her. Alex stared at the floor. What now? Was there another way out of this? Chapter 16. The first wave of skulks to find them banged on the door so hard that the frame rattled. Half the team held the door, while the other tried to fashion a worthy barricade. Suddenly, they weren't alone. Fester Crane had somehow weaseled his way into the room. "That won't last long," Crane said. "Better you surrender now, if you want to live." "You gross little gremlin," Jed roared. "You've been lying to us. We saw you and that zombie witch put innocent players in that easy bake oven of yours. It was heartless." "That's an interesting insult coming from you, but I'll forgive it, since you have no idea what's going on here." "Yeah, well, Luna does," Alex shouted. "Luna, Life Stealer, is a liar, a low-tier champion, and most importantly, a traitor." Crane sneered. Siding with her puts you on the losing team. You're reaching now, Crane, Alex said. Luna is going to help us get out of here. I don't think that's correct. Ms. Lifestealer knows there is no way out. Isn't that right? This is true, Luna said despairingly. In fact, because she can't activate a portal, Crane said. Lifestealer has decided to destroy Starway Station, effectively killing everyone here. That wouldn't be necessary if you had refused to go along with the Griefer's plan, Luna said. Wait, you want to blow this place up? Alex was confused and shocked. Before we even tried getting back home? Are you crazy? We would all die. An unfortunate but necessary sacrifice, considering the gravity of the situation, Luna said, sadly. I tried to tell you, children. Lifestealer can't be trusted, Crane grumbled. You're not telling the whole truth, Luna pointed an accusatory finger at Crane. There's a tyrant on the battle moon. Someone who is a lot worse than any of the Earthborn could imagine. Someone who wants to enslave everyone they love and every other living being in the cosmos. Such is life, my dear. Danger appears when you least expect it. Alex narrowed his eyes. You guys called our team the best, worst players in our league. Why would you want us here anyway? What was the point of bringing us all here if you were just going to kill us? Crane's eyes flashed as if he was delighted, like a spider who'd caught something in his web. Because rule breakers and risk takers are the ones who always find flaws in any new system, Crane said. Rule breaking, we can handle. Ha! Jed punched Crane in the nose with a vicious right cross that pounded the old gnome onto the floor. Crane moaned and reached into his lab coat like he might retaliate with one of his tricks. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help all of us. Yeah, right. Miz followed Jed's lead and kicked Crane. He spun into the corner of the room, unconscious. That's for the goats, you nasty little smurf. Jed gave Miz a high five. Aspie and Genghis circled around Alex, leaving Luna on one side of the room, alone. Alex, I think we've got a new problem, Genghis said. Luna here wants us to make a righteous sacrifice for a crusade we don't even understand. I'm pretty sure the team doesn't consent. If we don't take a stand here, Malvexus and the Griefers will kill everyone you've ever known or loved, Luna pleaded. Your entire planet will go up in flames or be enslaved. Is that what you want? We can't let that happen. I wish there were another way. But I don't have a portal key. And you never will! A gruesome, clawed hand wrapped in a swath of magical light materialized in the center of the room. The hand formed a hole by turning to the right, motioning like it held a key and was opening a lock. The resulting aperture expanded until it was large enough for Bonegrin to step through. You betrayed our master, Lifestealer. You'll never be a herald again. Bonegrin's glowing claw flared with light, then subsided. The portal vanished, and he pulled out his trident. You and the Earthborn will surrender to the Skulks now, Bonegrin roared, or I will slaughter you where you stand. Surprising everyone in the room, Aspie jumped forward, screaming out a battle cry, and slashed down with a silver Quilodian dagger, slicing off Bonegrin's hand in one swipe. Bonegrin screamed in anguish, grabbed his wrist to stem the bleeding, and backed away. Luna jumped forward and kicked Bonegrin in the chin. Bonegrin's head snapped back with a crunch, and he fell to the ground as if dead. Aspie picked up Bonegrin's nasty, green, oozing hand and waved it in the air, examining it like it was a movie prop. She glanced at Luna, who smiled knowingly and winked. Alex marveled at Aspie and her new prize. Aspie twisted and turned Bonegrin's severed hand in the air, creating a rift that bubbled with magical energy. His hand is the portal key, Miz cheered. Dang, girl, you are smart. When the magical portal fully dilated, humid air rushed through, carrying the scent of soil, rain, and tropical flowers. Strange animal sounds called from some hidden distance, and the magical energy holding the passage open crackled like lightning. Ms. gasped. "My God, the real Battle Moon is so beautiful." Alex agreed. Like all these experiences, it was much more than the game could ever convey. Through a window near the doorway, he could see the skulks were about to break through. He looked at his friends and decided on the only logical course of action. If this game is truly real, like Luna swears it is, Alex pointed at the portal and the battle moon beyond it, then that's where we need to be. It's the only place we stand a chance of finding a way home. He looked at Aspie. "Do you agree?" "Yes, let's get the heck out of here." She stepped through the portal and disappeared. "I don't want to be Goat Getty," Ms. yelled and jumped through. "Me either," Jed shouted and followed Ms. Luna followed Jed while Alex waited till the last second. He finally stepped through just as the door busted open and the skulks invaded the room. The portal collapsed, and they were gone. That concludes Part 2 of Cosmic Champions. Please like and subscribe, and follow this channel to get the next installment of this exciting story. Visit Mark at JonesMarkC on all the socials for additional information and links to other free audiobooks and the next book in this series. Thanks for listening.